The morning rush had just begun at Brooklyn's Sunrise Bakery, a cozy little place filled with the smell of fresh bread. The bell above the door chimed softly as a tired woman entered, holding the tiny hand of her 4-year-old daughter, Lily. Her clothes were old but clean. Her eyes had the kind of sadness that comes from too many sleepless nights. The little girl looked up at the glass counter and whispered, "Mama, bread." Her mother bent down slowly, cupped her tiny face, and tried to smile. "Baby, Mama will get you some, don't worry." She walked to the counter, swallowing the embarrassment building in her throat. Excuse me," she said softly to the cashier. Can I buy just one slice of bread?" "Not the whole loaf. Just one slice." People nearby turned their heads. Some judged. Some pretended not to hear. Some looked away. But at the corner table sat a man in a black suit, watching silently. He was tall, well-dressed, with sharp eyes and a quiet presence. His name was Ethan Cole, a 32-year-old single dad and the CEO of one of New York's top real estate companies. But today, he wasn't here for business. He was here because he had dropped his own 5-year-old daughter, Emma, to school and stopped by for coffee. He watched the woman's trembling hands as she searched her small purse for coins. She only had 53 cents. The cashier hesitated. Bread slices weren't sold individually. And definitely not for pennies. Little Lily tugged her mother's shirt again. "Mama, I'm hungry." The mother looked down, ashamed, helpless. And that's when Ethan stood up. His chair made a soft sound against the floor, and everyone turned. He walked to the counter slowly, gently, and said, "Let her sit. Give them breakfast. I'll pay for everything." The woman froze. The bakery froze. Even the cashier blinked in surprise. Ethan knelt down to the little girl's level and smiled kindly. "Sweetheart, do you like warm bread?" Lily nodded shyly. "Good," he said softly. "You'll have all you want." He stood and looked at the mother. Not with pity. Not with judgment. But with a warmth she hadn't felt in years. "Please, sit down. Eat first." Her lips trembled. Tears filled her eyes but didn't fall. She whispered, Why are you helping us?" Ethan smiled sadly. "Because once, someone helped me too." And just like that, her world shifted. Her daughter's world shifted. But she didn't know yet. The warm bakery was now a small sanctuary from the biting Manhattan cold. Grace, the mother, still sat with her coat wrapped tightly around her, glancing nervously at her little daughter, Lily. The warmth of the soup and bread didn't touch the chill in her heart. Lily had stopped fidgeting and was happily nibbling on her warm slice of bread, occasionally glancing at Emmy, who was smiling and trying to engage her. For a brief moment, she felt a flicker of normal childhood joy, something she hadn't felt in weeks. Aaron sat across from Grace, his eyes soft, yet studying every movement. He noticed her hands tremble as she held the spoon, the subtle bruises on her wrist, the tension in her shoulders. He leaned in gently. "Grace, can I ask you something? Are you okay? Are you safe?" Grace's eyes darted to Lily. She swallowed hard, not wanting to speak. The bakery suddenly felt too big, too bright, too exposing. We're fine." "Really?" "It's nothing," she whispered, forcing a smile. Aaron didn't push, but his gaze softened. "I understand. But I can tell you've been through a lot. And your daughter, she deserves to feel safe." At that moment, Lily looked up at him with big, innocent eyes. "Sir, you're very nice," she said softly. Aaron smiled, but it was heavy with emotion. He remembered his own daughter at that age, so innocent, so trusting. And now he felt a pull to protect Lily, the same way he would protect Emmy. "Lily," Aaron said softly, "do you like school?" Lily shook her head. "We don't stay in one place," she said quietly. Grace froze, her hand over her mouth. Her eyes filled with tears she tried to hide. Aaron reached across the table, placing a hand gently on Grace's. Grace, you don't have to go through this alone anymore. The tears fell freely now. I just want to keep her safe, she whispered. I thought leaving him would be enough. I was wrong. Aaron's heart clenched. I can help. We'll figure this out together. No judgment. Just safety and warmth. The little girls were now laughing together softly, sharing cookies and crumbs, oblivious to the adult pain. Lily leaned against Emmy. Your house is warm, she whispered. Aaron looked down at Grace, seeing the mixture of shame, fear, and relief in her eyes. You don't have to explain everything now. Just let Lily be a child, for today. Grace nodded, wiping her tears. Her voice broke as she said, Thank you. I didn't think anyone would help. Aaron smiled, the warmth in his chest growing. No one should ever feel alone, Grace. Not you. Not Lily. And certainly not any child. For a brief moment, all three adults, Grace, Aaron, and Emmy, shared a quiet understanding. A connection stronger than words. And in that quiet bakery, with snow falling outside, the harsh city suddenly felt softer. A world where compassion could still exist. The warmth of the bakery did little to calm the storm inside Grace's heart. Every bite of the bread her daughter Lily ate reminded her of nights spent huddled under thin blankets, trying to keep her child warm while the wind cut through their makeshift shelter. She had long given up hope that anyone would understand their struggle. But here was Ethan Cole, a man who seemed untouchable in wealth and power, yet had walked in as if he belonged to a different world, a world where kindness wasn't measured in dollars, but in the courage to care. And he had reached out, without judgment, without hesitation. Lily was laughing softly now, crumbs on her tiny fingers as she mimicked Emmy's giggles. Emmy, Ethan's daughter, had taken the little girl's hand and was leading her in a clumsy, whispered game across the table. Grace couldn't help but watch the innocence and warmth between them, the kind of friendship that only children could forge instantly. Ethan took a careful sip of his coffee and studied Grace quietly. He noticed every subtle movement, the way her hand shook as she picked up the spoon, the shadows under her eyes, the faint bruises on her wrists peeking out from beneath the sleeves of her coat. Grace, he said softly, leaning forward, you don't have to pretend here. I can see that you're tired. I can see that you've carried more than anyone should have to. Grace's throat tightened. She looked down at her lap, twisting the corner of her sleeve in her hands. I've done my best. I have to do my best. Her voice was soft, trembling, almost a whisper. For Lily. I can't fail her. You're not failing her, Ethan replied gently. You're surviving. And surviving is more than many can do. But you deserve help, you deserve to rest. Grace's eyes filled with tears. She quickly looked at Lily, who was now smiling at Emmy, sharing a small cookie. I don't know how to accept it, she murmured. Ethan nodded slowly. I understand. Accepting help isn't easy. But accepting kindness doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. For a moment, silence settled across the table. The hum of the bakery faded, the laughter of the other customers became background noise, and only the four of them existed in that small circle of warmth and light. Lily looked up at her mother. Mama, she's nice, right? She asked, pointing to Emmy. And he's nice too. Grace nodded, trying to smile through her tears. Yes, baby. They're very kind. Ethan watched this, remembering the sleepless nights with his own daughter when he had been younger, struggling to figure out how to provide her with safety, love, and stability. And now he was sitting here, across from another mother, seeing that same fierce, protective love mirrored in her eyes. Grace, he said softly, tell me, why are you out in this cold? Why are you struggling like this? Grace froze. Her fingers tightened around the hem of her coat. She swallowed hard, unsure how much to reveal, unsure how much trust to give. But the soft presence of Ethan, the safety of his gentle tone, made her feel, for the first time in months, that she could breathe a little easier. I left, she whispered, voice barely audible. I left him. Lily's father, 2 months ago. He wasn't kind. He wasn't safe. I thought leaving would keep us safe. But it's still hard. There's nowhere stable for us to stay. Shelters are full. Streets are cold. And Lily, she deserves more. Ethan's heart clenched. He reached out, placing a careful, reassuring hand on hers. Grace, no one should ever feel like they have to fight the world alone. Not you. Not Lily. Tears spilled down Grace's cheeks as she tried to force a small laugh, but it broke halfway. I don't know how to do this anymore. Ethan's gaze softened, filled with both concern and empathy. You're doing more than you think. But you don't have to do it alone. Lily, curious and innocent, whispered, Mama, can we stay with them? Their bakery is warm. Grace shook her head slightly. No, baby, we can't. She paused, then added quietly, it's not safe. I can't just trust anyone like that. Ethan's eyes met hers, patient, calm, and understanding. You don't have to trust anyone fully right now. But you can accept small kindness. Let Lily enjoy warmth today. Nothing more, just today. Slowly, Grace let herself exhale. She glanced at Lily, who was giggling softly with Emmy, sharing crumbs and laughing over simple things. For a moment, she allowed herself to hope. The bakery had become a small bubble, safe and warm. And in that moment, for the first time in weeks, Grace allowed herself to feel something she had forgotten, hope. She watched Lily reach for Emmy's hand, the two little girls giggling over something unimportant. Grace's heart ached in a strange, tender way. She realized just how much she had been surviving alone, and how desperately a connection could mean to both herself and her child. Ethan poured another cup of warm chocolate for Lily. Here, drink slowly, he said gently. It's hot, but it will warm you from the inside. Lily's small fingers gripped the cup as she sipped carefully, looking up at Ethan with wide eyes. Thank you, sir, she said softly. Ethan smiled, his chest tightening. You're welcome, little one. Grace finally let a small, shaky smile appear on her face. I don't even know your name, she admitted softly, her voice trembling. I'm Ethan, he said simply. And this is my daughter, Emmy. Grace nodded, her voice quiet. I'm Grace, and this is Lily. Aaron looked across the table and felt something inside him shift. This was not just about bread or warmth. It was about protection, about giving someone a small piece of security in a world that had. The sun outside had risen higher, but the bakery's warmth and chatter created a world of its own. Lily and Emmy were still playing quietly at the corner of the table, sharing cookies and laughing over tiny crumbs, while Grace sat staring into her untouched cup of hot chocolate, lost in thoughts she didn't want to speak aloud. Aaron noticed the hesitation, the flicker of fear behind her eyes. He leaned in gently. Grace, if you want to tell me, I'm listening. No judgment. Just safety and understanding. Grace flinched slightly at the word tell, her hands trembling on the table. She had lived in silence for too long. Silence about nights spent hiding, about bruises covered up, about running from someone who should have protected her. She whispered, looking down at her hands. Her voice trembled. I was married to Lily's father. At first, I thought he was kind, normal. But over time, he changed. Anger, yelling, hitting, always controlling. I tried to protect Lily. I tried to make it stop. But he wasn't just dangerous to me. He could have hurt Lily too. Aaron felt a cold knot tighten in his chest. He had seen the bruises on her wrists earlier, but hearing her words gave the pain a voice. Grace continued, her voice breaking. I left 2 months ago. I had nowhere safe to go. Every shelter was full, every option blocked. I sleep with Lily under bridges, in empty apartments, in cars, anywhere we can stay warm. And I can't let him find us. That's why I've been hiding. The weight of her words fell heavy in the air. Aaron felt the urgency, the vulnerability, the raw courage in her voice. And in that moment, he made a silent promise to himself they would be safe today. Somehow. He looked across at Lily, now holding Emmy's hand tightly. The innocence in those tiny faces stirred something deep inside him, something he hadn't felt since he had first held his own daughter, wondering how he would keep her safe in a harsh, unforgiving city. Grace, he said quietly, but firmly, you don't have to face this alone anymore. I want to help. Today, this moment, nothing else matters. You and Lily are safe with me. We'll figure out the rest slowly, together. Tears streamed down Grace's face. She covered her mouth with trembling hands. I don't know how to accept that. I've been alone for so long. Aaron's voice softened, filled with emotion, yet unwavering. Being alone doesn't mean you have to stay alone. Sometimes, letting someone care isn't weakness. It's survival. And I promise, you're allowed to survive. For a moment, Grace didn't answer. She looked at Lily, at Emmy, at Aaron, and she realized something. For the first time in months, she felt hope. Not the fleeting kind, but the kind that roots itself deep in your chest and whispers, maybe tomorrow can be different. Lily, sensing the change in her mother's mood, leaned across the table. Mama, can we stay here forever? Her voice was small, innocent, full of longing. Grace smiled weakly, hugging her child tightly. Not forever, baby, but maybe, just for now, we can feel safe. Emmy, sensing the mother's hesitation, added softly, you can come play with me at my house. We have a pink bed, and cookies. Grace's breath caught. She wanted to say no, to keep them at a distance, but Lily's eyes sparkled, and the warmth of Ethan's gentle presence made the words stick in her throat. Aaron stood slowly and extended his hand. Grace, let's not rush. Today, just rest. Let Lily be a child. Let this bakery be a safe place. And later, we'll take the next step together. No fear. No judgment. Grace took a deep breath, her shoulders relaxing for the first time in weeks. Okay, just for today. The girls laughed again, chasing crumbs around the table. Aaron watched them, his heart swelling with a mix of tenderness and resolve. He knew this day could change everything, not just for Grace and Lily, but for him and Emmy too. After a while, Ethan suggested, let's get you both something warm to go, Grace. You need more than just a slice today. Grace hesitated, looking at her daughter. I don't want to take too much. Aaron smiled warmly. Grace, you deserve more than just a slice. Let today be about you and Lily. Let it be about kindness, not survival. As they packed extra sandwiches, soups, and warm drinks, Lily hugged Emmy tightly. Thank you for being my friend. Emmy beamed. We'll always be friends. Grace's heart melted, tears falling freely now. She had never imagined that amidst fear and struggle, such small moments of joy could exist. Aaron, carrying the bags of food, looked down at Grace. This is just the beginning. Today we eat. Tomorrow, we make a plan. But you're not alone anymore. Grace finally nodded, a shaky smile on her lips. Thank you, truly. I don't know how to repay you. Aaron shook his head gently. You don't have to. Keep your daughter safe. Let her smile. That's enough. And as they stepped out of the bakery, the snow falling softly around them, Lily held Aaron's hand for a moment, then hugged her mother tightly. Grace looked up at Ethan and whispered, maybe life can be different. Aaron smiled, feeling a surge of hope himself. Yes, maybe it can. The snow outside had slowed to a soft drizzle, but the chill in the air reminded Grace how fragile her little world had been. For weeks, she and Lily had wandered through streets and empty apartments, carrying only each other. And now, in the warmth of Ethan's presence and the safety of the bakery, a new possibility emerged, one she hadn't dared to imagine. Aaron watched Grace closely, noticing the tension in her shoulders, the hesitation in her eyes, the way she constantly checked over her shoulder as if the world outside still threatened them. He understood, it wasn't easy to trust again. Especially after months of fear and survival. "Grace," Aaron said softly, his voice calm yet firm, "today, we don't just feed your hunger. We take a small step toward safety. A real one." Grace looked up, eyes wide. "Step, what do you mean?" Aaron gestured gently toward the bakery door. "I mean, let's not go back out into the cold. Not today. You and Lily need a place, just for now, where you're protected, where you can sleep without fear. Let me help." Grace hesitated, swallowing hard. She had spent so long living in the shadows, hiding every detail of her life, protecting Lily with every ounce of energy she had. And yet, something in Aaron's calm and steady gaze made her consider the impossible: trust. I don't know if I can," she whispered. "I've survived on my own this long. I don't know how to let someone else in." Aaron leaned closer, softly. "You're not weak for needing help. You're human. And your daughter, she deserves warmth, safety, and happiness. Even if just for a little while, you can let her have that." Lily, sensing the tension in her mother, tugged gently at Grace's sleeve. "Mama, can we go? Please?" Grace looked into her daughter's pleading eyes, and her resolve softened. The fear that had governed her life seemed to lose some of its power. She nodded slowly. "Okay, for Lily, just for now." Aaron smiled warmly. "Good. We'll figure the rest together. One step at a time." He turned to Emmy, who had been quietly observing the scene. "Emmy, do you think Lily would like to come with us for a while? Just so she can be safe." Emmy's eyes lit up, and she nodded enthusiastically. "Yes. She can sleep in my room. We can have hot chocolate every night." Lily giggled softly, her small face lighting up for the first time in weeks. "Really?" Aaron gently placed a hand on Grace's shoulder. "It's real. And it's safe. Today, you don't have to worry." Grace's lips trembled as tears filled her eyes. I can't believe this, someone actually cares." Aaron's expression softened. "People care. You're not alone anymore." For a few moments, the four of them sat together, letting the warmth of the bakery wrap around them. Every sound, the clink of cups, the laughter of other customers, faded into the background. All that existed was Lily and Emmy's tiny hands intertwined, Grace's quiet tears, and Aaron's steady presence offering safety. Finally, Grace whispered, almost to herself, "I never thought I'd feel hope again." Aaron reached out gently, taking her hand. "Then let this be your first step. Let today remind you that hope still exists." The girls continued to play, sharing stories and laughter, their innocence and joy creating a bubble that Grace hadn't experienced in months. She allowed herself a small, shaky smile, realizing that sometimes, even in the darkest winters, warmth could be found in the kindness of strangers. Ethan stepped outside briefly to check his car, then returned carrying extra blankets and a small backpack filled with essentials. "Grace, we'll make sure you have everything you need tonight. Just for comfort. And tomorrow, we can plan a more permanent solution. You won't have to face this alone again." Grace blinked back tears, overwhelmed by the generosity and empathy she had almost forgotten existed. I don't know what to say." Aaron shook his head gently. "You don't need to say anything. Just accept it. That's all." Lily hugged her mother tightly, burying her face into Grace's chest. "Mama, maybe life can be happy again." Grace held her daughter close, feeling a warmth she had thought lost forever. "Yes, maybe it can," she whispered. Emmy hugged Lily, and the little girls giggled again, forming a bond that would become a source of strength for both families. In that small bakery, amidst the snow and cold outside, a spark of safety, trust, and love had begun. And for Grace, the thought that she and Lily might have a chance at a future without fear, even for a little while, made her heart swell. She realized that sometimes, all it took was one act of kindness, one safe hand, to change the course of life forever. Aaron watched them, knowing that this was the beginning of something much larger than a slice of bread or a warm drink. It was the beginning of trust, hope, and a family that could heal together. Night had fallen over the city, but inside Ethan's apartment, the warmth of the heater and soft lamplight created a cocoon of safety. Grace and Lily had just arrived, carrying the small backpack of essentials Aaron had prepared. The little apartment was cozy, filled with the soft scent of vanilla candles and fresh linens. Lily's eyes widened as she looked around. "Mama, it's so warm and cozy." Grace smiled faintly, her heart heavy with emotion. She hadn't allowed herself to feel this normal in months. "Yes, baby, it is. For now, this is safe." Aaron guided them into the living room, then knelt down to Lily's level. "Hey, little one, this is temporary. But you can sleep comfortably tonight. You're safe." Lily hesitated, then ran into his arms, burying her face into his coat. "Thank you, sir." Ethan smiled, feeling a tug in his chest. He was no stranger to caring deeply for his daughter, but seeing another child in need, and Grace's silent strength, stirred something profound. Emmy appeared from her room, holding a small stuffed animal. "Lily, you can sleep with Mr. Bunny. He's really soft." Lily giggled and hugged the toy close, feeling a rare sense of security. Grace watched, her eyes misting over. For the first time in months, Lily felt normal childhood comfort, something Grace had feared was gone forever. Aaron handed Grace a cup of warm tea. "Here, for you. You've been carrying so much. Let it warm you from the inside too." Grace held the cup, trembling slightly. I don't know how to say thank you. I've never felt this safe before." Aaron shook his head gently. "You don't need to. Just rest. Tomorrow, we figure out the next step together." As the girls played quietly with their toys, Grace sank into the couch, exhaustion overtaking her. Her body and mind were spent from months of struggle, fear, and survival. Tears slipped down her cheeks silently. Aaron knelt beside her gently. "Grace, it's okay to let yourself rest. You're allowed." Grace looked up, meeting his gaze. I've had to be strong for so long. I forgot what it's like to trust someone." Aaron's voice softened. "Trust is built slowly. Tonight is just the first step." The evening continued quietly. The girls ate some warm cookies and sipped cocoa, occasionally giggling over small things. Grace watched them, the heaviness in her chest slowly lifting. She realized that even amidst fear and hardship, moments of pure happiness could exist. Aaron prepared 2 small beds in the guest room, one for Lily, one for Grace. He guided them gently. "Lily, Emmy is next door, and you'll sleep safely tonight. Mama will be right there with you." Lily hugged Grace tightly. "Mama, I'm not scared tonight." Grace smiled, holding her daughter close. "Neither am I, baby. We're safe. For now, that's what matters." Aaron quietly closed the door, giving them privacy, but paused outside the room, listening to the soft breathing and quiet giggles. He felt a protective surge of emotion. Not just for his own daughter, but for Lily, and for Grace. Later, Grace tucked Lily into bed, brushing her hair gently. "Sleep tight, my love. Everything is okay now." Lily murmured, "Mama, do you think maybe life can be happy again?" Grace kissed her forehead, tears spilling freely now. "Yes, baby. I believe it can. We have a safe place tonight, and that's the first step. Tomorrow, we find the next one together." The night was calm, but in that stillness, a sense of hope, trust, and safety settled over them. For Grace, it was the first time she allowed herself to feel relief without fear, and for Lily, the first time in months she felt like a real child again. Outside, snow continued to fall lightly, but inside the apartment, warmth, kindness, and human connection created a sanctuary. Aaron walked back to his own room, reflecting on the day. He knew this was just the beginning, but sometimes, a single act of kindness could change the course of life entirely. The first morning light slowly crept into Ethan's apartment, but in Grace's heart, that light felt like a ray of hope. Outside, the city seemed cold and merciless, but inside, the atmosphere was soft, safe, and comforting. Lily was waking up slowly, her tiny fingers reaching toward her mother. Emmy was already playing happily, and her laughter reflected in Lily's face. Lily whispered softly, "Mama, it feels so warm. I never felt safe like this." Tears filled Grace's eyes. This small moment, her little girl finally feeling safe, erased, for a while, all the exhaustion and fear that had weighed on her heart. "Sweetheart, you're safe today. Just for today, everything is okay," Grace whispered gently, her voice carrying a softness and love that had been buried under months of fear. Aaron came closer to Grace and said, "Grace, today all you need is to rest. You've carried everything on your own for so many months. Now, you have the right to rest and feel safe." Grace shivered and replied, I don't even know how to trust after all these months. I've always done everything for Lily on my own." Aaron spoke softly. "Trust takes time. Today is just the first step. Today is about making you and Lily feel safe." Lily grasped the edge of Grace's sleeve with her tiny fingers. "Mama, can we stay here forever?" Grace looked into her daughter's innocent eyes and, for the first time, felt that hope could exist even in the midst of fear. She nodded slowly. "Just for today, baby. Today we are safe, and that's the most important thing." Emmy hugged Lily with delight. "Lily, you can play with me, and Mr. Bunny is here for you too. Every night we'll drink hot chocolate." Lily giggled, and Grace's eyes filled with tears, a mixture of joy and relief. Moments she thought would never return were now becoming reality. Aaron handed Grace a cup of warm tea. "Here. You've carried so much on your shoulders for so long. Now let your heart and body find some comfort." The first morning light slowly filtered into Ethan's apartment, but in Grace's heart, it felt like a ray of hope. She quietly sat at the edge of Lily's bed, watching her daughter sleep peacefully, the gentle rise and fall of her tiny chest filling her with an unusual sense of calm and wonder. For months, their lives had been consumed by fear, uncertainty, and cold nights. Every moment had been a fight for survival. But here, now, with Aaron and Emmy present, Grace could finally breathe. Aaron had gone to fetch breakfast, leaving Grace and Lily in a quiet moment of peace. Grace whispered softly to her daughter, "Sweetheart, you're safe. You're safe, and I'm here. I promise, nothing can hurt you now." Lily opened her eyes and smiled sleepily. "Mama, I think we can really be happy." Grace's heart overflowed with emotion. She had lived in darkness for so long, and for the first time, light seemed possible. She hugged Lily tightly, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Yes, baby, happiness is possible. And we'll find it together." Aaron returned, carrying a small tray with warm pastries and cocoa. He gently placed it on the table and looked at Grace. "Grace, today we take the first step toward a permanent solution. A home where you and Lily will be safe. A place where you will never have to run, hide, or fear again. Today is a new beginning for your life." A lump formed in Grace's throat. She had never allowed herself to imagine a future like this. The world had always seemed cruel, but now, it was offering a chance she never thought possible. Lily grabbed Emmy's hand and bounced excitedly on the couch. Emmy laughed. "You'll never have to be scared again. We'll play, eat cookies every day, and have fun." Lily's laughter was contagious. Grace's heart felt a mix of relief, joy, and amazement. For the first time, she allowed herself to fully embrace the moment. After breakfast, Aaron sat close to Grace. "Grace, I know it's hard to trust after everything. But you've shown incredible strength. You've survived. And now, you deserve more than just survival, you deserve love, hope, and a happy life." Grace nodded, her voice trembling. I I don't even know where to begin. I've been alone for so long, protecting Lily, hiding from danger. I never imagined anyone would truly care. Aaron smiled softly. You've earned it. You will no longer face the world alone. Not today, not ever. Lily will grow up safe, happy, and loved. And so will you. The afternoon sun filled the apartment as Grace watched Lily and Emmy play. She felt a deep certainty that the months of fear and running had not broken them, they could now thrive. Aaron leaned closer and said, Grace, I'll help you find a permanent safe place. A home where you'll never be afraid. You and Lily deserve that. Grace gently took his hand, hesitant but filled with trust. Thank you for believing in us. When the world didn't see us, you did. Aaron held her hand firmly. I'll always see you. I'll always protect you. You're not alone anymore. Evening arrived, and the city outside buzzed with life. But inside, the apartment had become a sanctuary of love, safety, and hope. Lily snuggled into her mother's lap, resting her head on her chest. Mama, I think we're really home. Grace kissed her forehead, holding her close. Yes, baby, you're finally home. And no one can take this away. Aaron and Emmy watched quietly from the corner, hearts full. They knew the journey wasn't over, but for the first time, Grace and Lily could truly breathe, laugh, and feel hope.